Well, welcome to the Mondays in March series. I'm Kerry Cooper. I'm real pleased to be able to give you an update on where we are halfway through the year, believe it or not, and tell you a little bit about some things we're thinking about and where we're going. I'll start out with emergency preparedness. We were just talking on the sidebar conversation about that. We have a new UTMB alert system, which everybody should have participated in or heard from. And we are in the process of planning a so-called active shooter exercise, which we've all become more conscious of since there have been events around the country. And we're participating in a series of planning sessions. Actually, the active shooter exercise, I'm told, is March 28th. So that will be fairly soon. We're participating in a series of planning sessions and exercises to improve the ability of us in the region to respond to major mass casualty incidents. And the notice at the bottom of this slide is that licensed practitioners are required to know in writing what their emergency role is and to whom they report in an emergency. And anybody who doesn't know that needs to bring it to the attention of their supervisor so that can be corrected. There are also new UTMB conflict of interest, COI policy changes, and I have to mention those. I actually chair that COI committee, and I know more about this than I probably need to, but in August 2011, NIH published a revised conflict of interest rule for research. We focus mainly on conflicts of interest in research. And at a little bit after that, UT System mandated that all member health institutions implement a revised policy for which they gave guidelines. Those two guidelines didn't agree completely, so it took our help from our legal affairs folks to rewrite the UTMB conflict of interest policy to satisfy both of those agencies, and that's been done. The conflict of interest disclosure forms are online, and anybody involved in any significant way with research is required to complete training and make a disclosure, and that was supposed to be done by March 1. Now that may not seem like a big deal, but anybody that wants to submit a research grant to the NIH, for example, can't submit it unless they've already done this. That's part of the new rule. So encourage people to, if you haven't done it and you need to do it. We've had some new changes in leadership this year, and I want to just mention a few of them. If you don't see your name up there, doesn't mean you're not important, but these are the ones I'm going to highlight. Monty Pettit came on board January 1st from the University of Houston. He's a very distinguished scientist, and he comes to be the new director of the Seeley Center for Structural Biology and Molecular Biophysics. He's on board now and active. Jim Mahan came to us as the interim executive director of research services. He came in October and will be with us for a while. And my colleague Cameron Slocum, who's sitting down front here, has a new title to reflect his increased responsibilities. His title has had the word finance in it. Now he's still interested in and involved in finance with Mr. Elger and others, but to reflect his new role, it's Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of the academic enterprise. Many of you work with Cameron, and he's also Executive Director of the Faculty Group Practice. We have some other things going on currently, and these are active searches, and one of them is to get somebody who will be the new EVP and Provost and Dean of Medicine, which will relieve Dr. Pro and I of what we're doing. Things like this talk, for example. So we have a 16-member search committee that's active that Donna Sollenberger and I are co-chairing. It has representation from across the institution. We met a week ago with a search firm, which is Korn Ferry, and that group, the search committee, got a list of about a dozen or so candidates that the search firm had identified, and we voted on those, and very democratic, and the vote resulted in 6 candidates that we are currently scheduling to bring to campus for a first visit. So you can tell this is an active search, and I think the goal of the committee and Dr. Callender is that somebody be identified early summer, say June, to become the new EVP Provost and Dean of Medicine. So that's ongoing, and there's also a chair of neurology search in the School of Medicine that's ongoing, and you can see that that search committee is also active, having identified 14 potential candidates, and they also have a goal of getting their job done by early summer. So things are moving along, as you can see. These are big jobs, and it takes a while, but they're so important, and we all want to get the right people in those leadership positions. I want to talk briefly about the Center for Global Health Education. I know this was highlighted last year, but it's one of those things that grows and does ever more things. And UTMB provides medical students opportunities for international rotations. And the emphasis is on interdisciplinary education. They have research possibilities, service learning opportunities, and scholarly academic tracks. And the directors for this program are Drs. Daxo and Patel. And the current educational efforts are focused with the infectious disease folks on educational collaborations in Peru and Kenya. And future ones are planned with Rwanda, Uganda, and potential sites in Central America. So it's very active. And this slide, which you can't read, but has some smudges on it, those smudges are actually data. They tell you numbers of students and sort of where the locations are, but basically, if you just sort of look at where they are indeed global. And in fact, this represents about 520 students who have opportunities at various places around the world. It's a significant program. What a great opportunity for our students. Another activity ongoing, which we all pay attention to, but not everybody may know about, hopefully you do, is Synergy. And this is a scholars program, an interprofessional scholars program, and it involves all 4 schools. And UTMB students currently have the opportunity to earn the distinction of interprofessional scholar. And they can do it in various ways by interprofessional educational experiences, producing a scholarly paper, or pursuing a project with an interprofessional team. And in order to get this distinction, a student has to participate in at least 2 interprofessional activities per year of enrollment. This is a quality enhancement project that came out of our SACS accreditation, or started about then, a little before then, when we were up for reaccreditation, and it was our so-called quality enhancement program. And it's been very successful with leadership from Susie Garrick and a number of other people. Some of the activities that they choose from are listed here: family home visits, spirituality and clinical care module, court visitor, interprofessional core course, pediatric end of life, etc. And I should mention that next to the last one, which is Interprofessional Education Day, comes this month, again on the 28th of March. And I know there are quite a large number of activities planned that will be located at different points around the campus. So that's going to be an exciting day between the shooter drill and the interprofessional education. Talk a little bit about facilities update as they relate to the academic side. The Keeler building has some things going on, mainly BSL-2 labs and an insectary for the research folks over there, and that's being rebuilt. Basic Science building has a couple of major things going on. Brackenridge Hall, they're looking at cold room replacements. The NMR building is the dock building, which is located over near Ewing Hall on the water, or close to the water. And there's a flood wall being built around that Mike Schreiner told us today is almost complete. There are mitigation efforts also continuing in Ewing Hall, in the Animal Resource Center, Keeler Building, and the GNL. So lots of things going on the academic side, and that's a fraction of what's going on around the campus. There are some Ike recovery projects in progress, and one the academic folks are really interested in is the Student Testing Center, a mock-up shown sort of here, where the ground floor of former Children's Hospital, you can't look in there, it's completely walled off. We hope lots of things are going on in there because it's supposed to be a place where we will get a place to test a large number of students with plenty of space between them in these kinds of computer models. And not only, of course, are these things sort of movable, they require a lot of electrical support, which has to come down from the ceiling. And so the second floor renovation is equally as important as the ground floor, since it is where the hardware and support for the testing center originates. I should say there's also in this space going to be conference space and also, I think, an auditorium that'll seat a fair number of students. We're very short for some of these classroom needs, particularly with enrollment increasing in some of our schools. We have a hard time finding classrooms that seat more than 200 students. Some other things, the School of Nursing and School of Health Professions have finally gotten an entranceway to their place that is very nice looking and not any sign of there ever was any damage. The nursing, they also have labs that have been redone, birthing simulation labs, classroom space, and a learning resource center with the computer labs. So a lot has gone on in the School of Health Professions. Many of the academic folks know that those quad rooms over there are really useful for many of us who teach courses. The Graves building, of course, is where the medical school's integrated medical curriculum takes place early in the career of the medical students. And you all know that that's problem-based small groups, problem-based learning. So it requires a fair number of rooms, which now are available along with seminar spaces. There's also mitigation of mechanical stuff and School of Nursing offices going on. So having Graves back is a big deal. Ashbel Smith, Old Red. We all know from after Ike that opening Old Red was an issue because of the foundation and the years of the building, how old it is. But the floors that were damaged in the storm have been worked on. The first and second floors have been reoccupied by student affairs and student enrollment. Those two services were crammed into the Jamail Center in sort of a sardine-like fashion, and I think they all were glad to get back into Old Red. The top floor is being looked at as a potential museum. The auditorium has been fixed as far as I know, and Mike's nodding, so that's good to have back. The ground floor is being reviewed as a possible opportunity for students to use as a student lounge and mainly for study space. And that will require some work, and we don't know for sure yet exactly when that might happen. Well, academics, I'll turn to academics and tell you a little bit about what's been going on in the 4 schools. And basically in the graduate school, biomedical sciences, of which I'm the dean still, has a couple new programs. We have a new certificate in public health, which has been approved by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, THECB. Maybe more importantly, in some ways, a doctoral program, standalone doctoral program in rehab sciences has been approved after a long battle with the THECB. I think that started in 2001 or 2 or something. Dr. Protas and Ken Ottenbacher and I were involved in that for almost a decade, and it finally got approved. New initiatives in the graduate school we took an old and moribund physiology graduate program, re-engineered it with permission from the coordinating board into a new graduate program in human pathophysiology and translational medicine. And we moved the administration of that graduate program into the Institute for Translational Sciences, with which Dr. Brazier runs. And that's a great place for it. It's directed by Mark Helmick and Gustavo Valbuena. We also have a postdoc certificate program we've been working on since 2009. And we have 5 certificates that postdocs can get, and we have essentially all postdocs enrolled in this program, which allows us to document for them the training that they receive as postdoctoral scientists. We have a Presidential Scholars Program, and that's a program where the president, provost, and others, there's a recruitment committee, a special committee, and that's a program that adds a significant amount of money to their base graduate student stipend. The goal is to recruit some of the very best students we can. And that's working very well. With another 4 coming in this next year, it would be 12 students in this Presidential Scholars Program. NIH training grants are nice and a great honor. They help train our students, but they don't pay the full stipend, never have, so the institution supplements those to bring those students up to the graduate school stipend level. And this summer, we will have our 21st year of a summer undergraduate research program where we bring usually 25 or 30 students from across Texas and around the country for a 10-week residential research experience with one of our funded faculty. Right now, we are concerned, and you'll hear me probably say this again, that our faculty are working very hard. The competition for research grants, new or renewed ones, is very, very intense, and we are deliberately trying to put aside some of our stipend money to be sure we can bridge students if their faculty mentor has a problem with the funding. So as a result, we're focusing on U.S. and permanent residents. We're not taking hardly any foreign students, international students this year, or probably next year. We're focusing on the ones that are training grant eligible. School of Health Professions has a bunch of accomplishments I want to share with you. They rank 6th in NIH funding compared to schools like them in the U.S. They've increased their enrollment 17% over fall 2010, 5 new master's programs, new Department of Nutrition and Metabolism. They've got approval for a doctorate in clinical lab sciences, working with San Antonio, and they've completed an academic program review for the PA studies. The Center for Rehab Sciences implemented an R24 grant to establish education, allowing them to use large databases. They've got a $4.9 million grant from the Department of Labor to educate long-term unemployed in clinical lab sciences. They've got 90 new clinical education contracts, that's important for them to be able to send out their students for clinical training off campus. They've hired 6 new faculty since May last year. They're looking at new educational space and hopeful renovation. And they've awarded 10 Dean Scholars Awards, so a lot going on in health professions. Dr. Protas is trying to hire 2 new chairs for PA studies and for occupational therapy, where those leaders are retiring. She's already recruiting new faculty, 4 new faculty and staff. They've got preliminary accreditation for Master of Science in Nutrition Metabolism. They, like the School of Nursing, are interested in space to accommodate their enrollment growth, and they're trying to grow their faculty practice plan. So a lot of activity going on in the School of Health Professions. The School of Nursing, most recently, very recently, was able to get approval from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board for their Doctor of Nursing Practice, the DNP, which is a degree that's being implemented nationally around the country. Clinical Nurse Leader Program also was approved by the Coordinating Board last August. They've opened their Interprofessional Simulation Center and Behavioral Research Center. They also have 40 incoming or matriculating students in their PhD residency week, which was held in August 2011. That's a program where they bring these students to campus because their PhD program is entirely distance. So there's a few times each year where they actually come to campus so they can meet face to face with people they're working, the faculty that they're working with. An external review was held February 27th and 28th. That's last week, 1 week ago. And we had an external review team reviewing the School of Nursing and its leadership. And I have to say that went pretty well. It was a favorable review, which is always nice to hear. They will have some recommendations, as review teams always do. Some faces you probably recognize, changes in leadership effective this year. Alice Hill is now Associate Dean for Graduate Programs. Kate Fiant is Associate Dean for Graduate Programs and Clinical Affairs. And Charlotte Wisniewski is a Director of Undergraduate Programs. Kate Fiant has a $1.5 million grant from HRSA for primary care, expanding primary care to residents of coastal Texas. Dr. Beckworth has a substantial grant from the coordinating board. Faculty facts from the school: 4 faculty have nurse educator status. They've published 30 articles, presented 43 papers, have 3 faculty inducted into our Academy of Master Teachers. Their doctorally prepared faculty grow in number as these are prepared and these are in process. And they had 1 faculty person inducted into the UT Academy of Health Science Education. Turn to the School of Medicine. I think everybody has heard off and on that the school is doing very well with its integrated medical curriculum. I remember some of the old days when it was first initiated, it was a little bit of grumbling, but I don't hear it anymore. It's seemingly not only well accepted, but very effective. National rankings over the last decade show that the school is actually number 9 in the African American graduates it's produced, and number 1 in the number of Hispanic graduates. That excludes only the HBUs and the schools in Puerto Rico. But this is in comparison to the 130 some odd allopathic medical schools in the United States, which is a pretty good achievement. This gives some idea over the last 5 years of how the matriculants, the class coming in, looks. And these 2 colored bars in the middle are how Texas defines underrepresented minorities, which is Hispanic, African American, and Native American. Native Americans are very small in number, but you can see that this bar gets bigger as we go along here, and graphically it indicates something I think is quite remarkable, and that is that the matriculants coming in 2011 were almost 40% underrepresented minority, which is really, really incredible. Now, that said, gender diversity is also present in the medical school. And in this year, the latest year, which we have the numbers here, it's equal numbers of men and women. The diversity is impressive, and so are the board scores. If we look at the board scores over the last 8 years, the UTMB mean score on USMLE 1 is higher than the national mean every year. Okay, they do so well that they get recognized for this integrated medical curriculum. And in 2011, you may recognize some of these people. They received the Coordinating Board Star Award. And that's a really nice honor. And this is the commissioner. This is the guy we keep arguing with that we need more programs. But he's doing a good job here. Part of the integrated medical curriculum that's important, I think, and really a nice accomplishment is the variety of unique opportunities that our medical students can partake in. And there are programs, electives, in global health, rural health, bilingual health, aerospace medicine, and translational research. That's pretty impressive. The other thing that's happening is that around the state is the chancellor has out there a framework for improvement, and one of the things that everybody's interested in is the so-called TIME initiative, which is transformation in medical education. And excuse me, our leadership from this campus is Dr. Lieberman, I believe, who has spent a fair amount of time heading up this initiative. And it re-envisions pre-medical and medical school education with a view toward doing several things. One is getting greater integration, relevancy, and efficiency, shortening the time for doing both the bachelor's and the medical degrees. There's a number of principal elements. It has interprofessional pre-health professions programs, competency-based education, professional identity formation, and non-traditional topics. And there are 10 UT system institutions involved in this initiative and 4 partnerships. UTMB is partnering with UTEP, Brownsville, Pan Am, and the UT Medical School in Houston. You'll be hearing a lot more about this initiative. On the clinical side, I'll make some comments. One is that the faculty group practice earned or will earn dollars from a number of incentive programs. One of them is called Meaningful Use, which gives incentive money for adopting, implementing, and upgrading service issues. One is e-prescribing, which carries an incentive, and an opportunity to earn additional Medicare and Medicaid meaningful use incentive payments beginning the end of March 2012. So this is something else I've learned about since I've been in the administration building. I often wonder what the meaningless use money is, but I did learn about meaningful use. The faculty group practice has 3 committees that have been formed to promote group practice culture and growth. And one of them is clinical operations, which Courtney Townsend chairs, and it has defined membership, and they're looking at clinical finances, productivity, and standardization, overlooking clinical quality and care provider satisfaction, and collaborating with the UTMB health system. There are 2 additional committees that are subcommittees of this committee, and they're shown here. One chaired by Vincenti Resto, looking at recruitment and retention, and one called Practice Guidelines, which Ron Lindsay chairs, looking at guidelines for physician and provider performance. UTMB Connect is something I learned enough to say the words about. And what I have learned is that it is really important for the health system because it carries new documentation and coding requirements. It's a software initiative that is, like most of them, is fairly expensive, but it's being looked at. It would provide one record, better, safer care, more personalized service, and a single patient bill. This is a graph that shows for 10, 11, and 12 the referrals of non-UTMB providers to UTMB compared to providers in UTMB referring out to non-UTMB. And I'm told it's nice to have a delta here. On the research side, the research departments in the medical school get ranked nationally by an organization called Blue Ridge. And these rankings come out annually, and it shows where our departments rank according to other schools like us in the United States. And the rankings are done by the research dollars that they bring in, so it's a quantitative assessment. You can see that we have 3 departments in the top 10 nationally, and we have others that do very well. So we're always proud of that. If we look more globally at our departments in the medical school and compare us to our sister schools, you can see the individual rankings, depending on the department, vary considerably, but the overall rankings show that we're not all that different for 3 of us, but Southwestern, of course, is notoriously good in research, and they're our aspirational benchmark. We'd all like to get up there and challenge them. But still, we're pleased at the rankings, and we try and improve on these, even in difficult times with the NIH. Our research expenditures have been going up steadily, even after the storm, but this year, as I mentioned early on, the research budgets at NIH are tight, the competition is fierce, and we don't expect that this will stay at this level. And in fact, we're anticipating some drop in our research grant acquisition and expenditures. I wanted to mention something that really pertains in some ways most directly, I suppose, to the health care delivery system here, but I think actually it applies to all of us, even the academic side, and that's called a culture of trust. And that's something that the leadership here at UTMB is pushing pretty hard on, and it will continue to push on. A culture of trust is where reporting and learning are valued, and it's safe to report and learn from mistakes to assure safety, where people are encouraged and recognized for taking essential safety-related actions, evidence-based practices to achieve healthcare safety. Individuals work as a team and communicate with each other to adapt to situations and problems. And team reviews of events to understand the second story gives a clearer understanding of where things went wrong. And some of this, I think, really makes it clear that it pertains to all of us in the fact of disrespectful behavior can occur anywhere in any unit. And unfortunately, I think we all can think of examples of that. We need to do away with that. We need to cease inflicting harm when we want to have healing. We want to stop failing, find new ways of working together, organizing and delivering care that serves the patients, stop accepting waste and finding fault with individuals rather than systems, and placing physicians, nurses, pharmacists, and others in harm's way. So in a culture of trust, we have openness, transparency, support, commitment to learning, mutual respect, recognition that the patient's interest is paramount, and full engagement of patients and families in their care. And although I'm not a health care giver, I am a health care consumer. And so I think these all make a lot of good sense. And I think if we can blame the process first rather than the person and not look for a fall guy, we'd go a long way toward solving some of our problems. Enrollment growth is something that's been on our mind and our goal for the last couple of years. Dr. Callender challenged the schools to think about enrollment growth a couple of years ago with the goal of meeting the healthcare shortage by doubling enrollment in the School of Nursing and School of Health professions by 2020 and increasing the medical school enrollment and graduate school by 25%. Meetings are underway across all 4 schools to discuss the operational and financial impact of doing that, because increasing enrollment requires an infrastructure to support it. And that makes us think about what do we need in the way of new education buildings or new education classrooms, et cetera, et cetera. And I think what we're doing is reevaluating what is ideal and what is realistic in the current climate. So if we look, however, at what's been going on, there has been a response to this challenge, particularly in health professions and the School of Nursing, where if you look at enrollment growth or the enrollment figures over the last 5 years through 2011, you can see that this is particularly starting here. This is the School of Nursing, and this is the School of Health Professions, which have, in fact, increased enrollment quite significantly. And we congratulate them for doing that, despite the challenges. Now, we all know about the upcoming campaign, and we're in the middle. I remind you of a Family Matters campaign, where we like to encourage all of our employees to participate in the family campaign so that as the development folks go out and raise money, they can brag on us that we do participate. The main goal, of course, is to get the match money to complete the building of the Jenny Seeley. And you all, if you take a look at where Jenny Seeley was, you'll see a pile of rubble, which means that we're making progress. And it's going to look really good when it's finished. There are other things in the campaign, but I remind everybody of the Family Matters part of it and encourage everyone to participate. There may even be some literature outside on that, right, Cameron? Yes. Stop by and pick some up if you haven't participated. Despite all the challenges we face, we are still recruiting faculty and staff, and here are the 2012 faculty that have been hired. Shows you where they are going or where they are and the numbers. And last week on Wednesday night, we had a reception for these new faculty. And I have to say, not only are they impressive in number, they're impressive in their qualifications. And it really was a nice event to hear and see some of the folks that have been recruited and that are going to help us succeed. The research strategic plan was developed, the last version I saw when I came into the provost office was 2006. Over the last 6 months, it's been updated by the Research Executive Committee. And the goal has been to update it in order to give the new provost EVP and the rest of us something to look at about what the research leadership thinks the direction is we should move. The overreaching themes are that we need to coordinate faculty recruitment efforts across the research enterprise to get some synergy when we recruit. We need to partner with the health system on recruitment initiatives, particularly for clinical faculty, in order to satisfy the needs of the health system for service providers and the research side for research collaboration between clinical and basic researchers. And so there's a concerted effort to try and ensure, we hope, multi-investigator, broad-based participation. Some of the areas where we think there are opportunities for clinical and basic folks to come together and where we have strength on campus is stem cells, outcomes research, bioinformatics, genetics, immunology, nutrition, obesity, vaccine development, structural biology, vascular biology and inflammation, and systems biology, the omics, proteomics, genomics, metabolomics, etc. Now, you saw on the first slide, I think, that our Mondays in March will continue. 2 Mondays, first Donna Sollenberger, then Bill Elger, and Dr. Callender will follow up on the final institutional road ahead update on a Tuesday. In closing, too, I want to remind everybody that there's another worthy event you should support if you can, and that's the St. Vincent's Clinic Benefit Concert, which is March 8th, this week, at the Grand, 7 to 9:30. We all know we have talent on campus, and I think it'll be great, modest cost, benefiting the clinic, and this is a clinic that we all are proud of and all want to support, I'm sure. And finally, I want to end by saying the class of 2012 School of Medicine commencement will occur in early June, and the class selected or voted on a person that they wanted to deliver the commencement address, and so this year that person has agreed to come. It's Jennifer Arnold. She serves as medical director of the Pediatric Simulation Center at Texas Children's, and she's got a faculty appointment at Baylor. She and her husband, who's a businessman, star in the Learning Channel's The Little Couple. This hit reality show chronicles their personal and professional lives. She is a neonatologist who champions healthcare simulation as a means for improving patient safety. And she's appeared on numerous television programs speaking about overcoming challenges in her pursuit of a career in medicine. I think this will be a wonderful commencement address to hear in June. Thank you for coming.